light-hearted, jolly topic of conversation, the fallout of the Boston bombing manhunt. Now, we're not going to be covering it in the quality way of, I don't know, have you seen the footage of the woman on CNN talking about how quiet is it during the manhunt? So quiet that it's almost as if a bomb had gone off.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Dear. They didn't really cover themselves in glory, did they? Look, I guess there's a couple of issues here. The first one is that there was some pretty horrible coverage coming out of the mainstream media. And I don't mean that in the sense of it being graphic and distressing. I mean, just wrongity, wrong.
Oh, you mean like the New York Post putting on the front page the two completely innocent people and suggesting that the vigilantes go out and find them.
Absolutely. And to be fair, it wasn't just the mainstream media that really needs to have a look at itself. There was also a lot of people on sites like Reddit and 4chan who were playing amateur detective and declaring all sorts of different people to be the suspect. One of whom, they decided, one of the suspects was a young fellow who's actually a missing person at the moment. And they decided, well, that's a perfect cover for someone who's going to be a bomber. So they named the guy, put his photos up all over Reddit. But
it's also got upvotes. Isn't that the important thing?
It got lots and lots of karma. Those useless internet points are so important. But
what else are they going to do? Post pictures of their really cute cats?
Let's not go there. But the
I better see how my photos of my cute cats are going.
It's problematic that both of them seem to feed off one another, in that the mainstream media weren't doing a lot of source checking. They weren't verifying everything that they were putting to air, and that was feeding into the hype on online. But then it was going in the other direction. Stuff that was being postulated about online was being used as sources for the mainstream media, which then seemed to verify it. It was just an absolute mess.
Well, the important thing about the whole thing is that it was able to give people who despise certain other people a basis for extrapolating. Now, at the moment, we don't have the faintest idea what the motives were of these two people. We know that they used YouTube. We know that they were Muslim. We know that they were Caucasian. We know that they played sport. We know a whole lot of random facts about them. And it's interesting.
We've seen their prom photos again online.
And I think it's clear, I think we can extrapolate quite logically from that people who go to proms are, terrorist suspects. Like, it's that, obviously there's one factor that certain people have been banging on about because that's the line.
Well, speaking of getting things wrong and wanting to feed into the preconceived ideas, I think the funniest, saddest thing was when it was revealed that these two suspects were ethnically Chechen, that there were...
The Czech Republic had to apologise.
Talking about the Islamic Czech Republic, and it's just like, hang on.
How are there news reports? I know that the Czech ambassador had to come out and announce, we're an ally of the US, we're not Chechnya, quite different countries. Was it actually the media? I just thought it was idiots on YouTube.
No, it wasn't just idiots on YouTube. There were actual talking heads on the major networks talking about the Islamic Czech Republic.
If that's right, you have to find the footage and show us.
Thinking that was the same as Chechnya. It's just,
That's hilarious.
Like, I'm no European foreign policy maven. Far from it. But I do know that Chechnya and the Czech Republic are not the same thing.
No, but, they were part of Russia. I remember that documentary film, Octopussy, where General Orlov was determined for the tanks to come down to Czechoslovakia. Oh, no, wait, they weren't part of Russia at all, were they?
No,
they were outside it. That's why Orlov was going to invade them. Damn it!
Yes,
I could almost be an American.
Oh, dear. So it was really... I don't know where news coverage is going to go from this. Like, every time we think that it's found its nadir, it gets worse.
So, Dave, can you explain to me any reason why we should be treating this incident, why we shouldn't be going on about the Muslims and the religion of these people in a way that we haven't, for example, with Aurora, Sandy Hook, Tucson, Columbine? Clearly, when it's the religion that we don't have, that many commentators don't like, clearly that's when it's relevant. And it doesn't matter when the religion that they have happens to be, Christianity or
Jeremy, I think you're missing the point here. The reason that commentators need to focus on the religion of the two suspects is because they're both white. Now, it is. Now, see, if they could have just been like normal terrorists and just been, like Arab looking or something, then it would be very, very easy for commentators to just focus on their ethnicity. But no, it's just too difficult. We can't talk about white people as being a race addicted to violence. So we need to focus on their religion, Jeremy. I would have thought that it was very clear and obvious.
More importantly, maybe I don't understand what terrorism is. See, I thought that terrorism was when you committed an act of mass terror. So you were terrifying society, and to achieve a political end. And the way that works is that you threaten that if society doesn't adapt in a certain way, you will do terrible things. And then when terrible things happen, you say, see society, this is what will happen if you don't, adhere to, don't go with our demands. These weren't very efficient terrorists if they were terrorists, because they forgot the part about making their demands and, declaring what their motive was. You'll notice that when Al-Qaeda blows things up, they are happy to tell people about it, because they understand how terrorism works. Have we just redefined terrorism to be anything where innocent people are killed except for ones when they're white people with guns?
It's not quite that well delineated, Jeremy, but there is actually a definitive legal definition in the US about terrorism.
Which is broad and pointless, isn't it? It's like
and it is effectively to do with explosives and like how big they are.
So Al Capone was a terrorist.
No, because he didn't explode things.
I bet he did. Any kind of somebody, a criminal who blows up a bank vault that uses explosives, they're terrorists, are they now? Have we just redefined? Hang on, that's so dumb. It's like redefining WMDs. They redefined WMDs. Apparently, a small bomb is now a WMD, a weapon of mass destruction. Like, how is it they couldn't possibly find that Saddam had any of those? If the threshold of WMD is that small.
The other thing that you have to remember, Jeremy, is that it's also about the type of people that you're blowing up. So if you blow up an abortion clinic, you're not a terrorist. Oh. That's the important thing to remember. There's just so many. You're the law talking guy. I'm just going off what I've read.
I think this might be class war, where we just don't grasp it quite the same way.
It might be. I think the point isn't that things like the Sandy Hook and Aurora shootings should be classed as terrorism. It's more the point that this horrible, horrible crime should be treated like a horrible, horrible crime. And
No, Dave. Our criminal law was not designed to cope with people committing crimes. When a terrible crime occurs, we have to throw all of our centuries and centuries of legal development and the criminal law aside and just run around like panicking headless chooks, because that's the only way to defeat the terrorists, by abandoning all of our principles.
See, that's the bit that I always get so confused on. I always foolishly believe that what defines us is how we behave when things are at their worst. And see, it always seems to me that if we're going to have a criminal justice system, we have to apply it evenly to people who we really, really would like to see to be punished for their crimes. But regardless of our own feelings, though, it seems to me that the criminal justice system has to be impartial, otherwise it just won't work.
No, you don't understand it at all. The way it needs to work is that every time something slightly different from the last terrible thing happened, we need to pass an entirely new law and throw everything that we know that we've worked really hard to develop out. Like, that's the only way to have a system that is completely inconsistent and doesn't make any sense. And where injustice can properly thrive. And you know, Dave, as well as I do, that the definition of justice is vengeance.
You know, it's probably a good thing that they have blindfolds over that, like the justice lady with the scales, because if she could see what was going on, she'd probably be pretty disgusted.